All right, we are live. Hey, Joe, how
Hey,
are you?
hey Kim, doing great. How about you?
I'm doing great. So, guys, we are live now. It's been a while since we did a live interview. So, this is the start of doing another live interview again. I'm super excited to have you guys here. And before we get started, I want to quickly introduce Joe as well. So, Joe and his business partner, Susanna, just went through their own 5 day challenge. If you guys are coming in, let me know if you're live, hashtag live in the comments, and hashtag replay if you're watching the replay, and let me know where you're tuning in from. I love to periodically interview my clients right at certain milestones of their journey with us. And Joe has been in commercial real estate for such a long time. He's such an expert. And one of the reasons why we have clients enrolling with us is because they're such an expert in their field. Uh, and the world that we know, the marketing world, the 5 day challenge world, the Facebook group world, is still a little bit more foreign for them. So it's like taking them from what they know into this, plunging them into this environment. And we get to experience this with them as they're going through and enrolling clients and being able to speak to their audience. So, with that said, welcome, Joe, to this interview. I'm so excited that you're here with me today. How, uh, my first question is, let me tell the audience a little bit about what series of events led you into this crazy world of monetizing from a community, from a group. What series of events led you to bumping into me, doing this 5 day challenge, getting into this crazy world?
Great question, Kim. Number one, thank you so much for having me on the show today and speaking to your audience. And what really led me to this point was trial and error, lots and lots of trial and error. And it's one of those things you don't know what you don't know. And like you said, I'm an expert in real estate. I could do that with my eyes closed, hands tied behind my back. But when it comes to like the digital world and marketing, I was dabbling, and the saying goes, dabblers get destroyed. And one of the things that I did learn and take away was like, you have the framework, you have the crew, you have a lot of different ingredients, like me trying to bake the cake, and I only had flour.
Yeah. You only have flour, but you didn't have the whole recipe, right?
That's correct.
And tell us a little bit more about you, like what I know it's trial and error, but what are some things that you went through that kind of didn't work for you that make you go, okay, I want to get support. And you said that I have the recipe. Like what did you see? What did you experience that have you have trust in the team and the support in order for you to bake your cake, so to speak?
Awesome, awesome. So I'm like everybody else. I like free stuff, and when I want on your 5 day challenge myself as a student, as an audience, I was pumped up, and I'm a very ready, fire, aim kind of person. So I tried a challenge, and I tried to put it together with the limited knowledge that I knew, and I had some results, but not nearly enough that I was satisfied. I tried it again. I went to your second one. Maybe a few months later because I saw it, and I'm very resilient. People that know me know that I don't like to give up. I'm not a quitter. I will fight and fight and fight. It's part of my culture, my background of being a fighter. Little side note on that one, another day, but no, I'll tell you a little bit quickly. My
Okay, do
background's
it.
Filipino, right? And so for my Filipino brothers and sisters out there, my parents are from Batangas, and they're known for the balisong, the butterfly knife. And so we're naturally fighters. So I keep getting that, like whenever they talk to me, oh, where are your parents from? Oh, Batangas, and so we're fighters. So anyway, that's another day. But anyway, I don't give up, and so with the limited knowledge, I did my 5-day challenge, and I try to either win or I learn. I don't like to lose either. And so I learned on my first 5-day challenge that there were certain things in my cake that was still missing, right? So I tried it again. I went to your challenge. I'm like, wow, you know what? There's a lot more that I don't know. And finally, on the like third go around, like 3 strikes, you're out, Joe. It's one of those things where, hey, we're playing baseball. Some people do get out once in a while, right? But yeah, so it was a third time where I was like, I got a really good nudge from my partner Susanna, where she actually pushed me over the cliff, where she was like, Joe, I want to do this. I mean, you got a great concept with Commercial Real Estate Investor Club, and it's one of those things where you I love what you got, but we need to team up with somebody who's more of an expert in the digital marketing world, the Facebook ads, the trigger links, all these different platforms that I truly am unaware of until now, going through your program and learning about all these different things that was missing in my cake. That now I've got the eggs, I've got the milk. You know what? Don't put it in the oven too long. It's going to be overbaked or undercooked. And so when I stepped up with your program, I really realized that, wow, there's so much more to learn. But I'm thrilled and excited that, I'm falling on my face. And it's one of those things that I know I'll keep falling on my face because, like I've said to a lot of my clients, and I think also in our live event that I met you, for every new level, there's a new devil. For every new level, there's a new devil. And when you want to start to scale, you go from 10,000 to 100,000, 100,000 to a million, we call that growing pains. And, I know I'm going to go through these growing pains and I'm embracing them. And like I said, I'm super thrilled to be here and in your circle.
Oh, I love that. And yeah, you're such an action taker, Joe. You did the 5-day challenges just two by yourself, and then Susanna is like, "Hey, we need more structure. Let's go." But I love that you just take action. You just go for it. That speaks a lot to your character, and I remember right after you enrolled, you're like, "I'm gonna show up in person at your event. Let's go." I love that energy coming into it. And tell me a little bit about the difference. Knowing the ingredients of the cake, how did your recent 5-day challenge compare to the way that you ran it in the past, and what gave you that like all in, let's do it, because you do have another challenge coming up that's 3 days in November. So walk me through, what did you consume? What did you do that was different, that enabled you to have even the calls that you had, the deposits down? Like, what made that difference for you this time, the third time you did the challenge?
So the
You're
third,
old.
when I actually met with you and the
Yeah.
live event, it's a
Mhm.
framework, right? You got to have a blueprint. I'm in real estate. So if you don't have a blueprint from the house for building a house, and you're just going over to Home Depot and Lowe's and you've got no blueprint, so you're buying wood, you're buying tile, you're buying cement. And I don't know about you, but for me, I'm one of the worst when it comes to hands-on putting stuff together. I'm that guy that will go to Home Depot, I'll buy a part, and then it's the wrong part. Then I got to go back. Then I got to keep going back and forth, back and forth. finally I give up, right? And that was the same thing with the challenge, where I needed that blueprint. And what really separated you from a lot of these other folks is, I went to other trainings. I went to like some of these other smaller courses and free courses. And when I met with you at the live mastermind, it was open playbook, and the transparency was there, and you could tell that you cared. You actually cared about your people, and you could see it with your leadership team as well. It resonated with them. And so, your vibe attracts your tribe, they say, and you could see it within the group that people will go out of their way to really like help you out. And so that's where I could tell that like I'm in the right room at the right time with my challenge.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's a saying, I love that, like your vibe is your tribe. There's also, like, I like to say, you are the client you attract. So if you're a go-getter, if you're gonna go for it, if you care, the people that you end up attracting who works with you, for you, also have that same energy level. And same with you to your clients as well. I know that you have been coaching kind of pro bono for a while, for a long time. Um, can you tell me, and that shows that you care so much, Joe. You care so much. So I love that. Um, talk to me about the, you said the framework. What specifically about the framework that shifted things for you or made a difference for you? Because what I like to do with these interviews is not just for people who are listening in that are curious, it's also for current clients, to motivate them to say, aha, Joe and Susanna went and did their challenge. Some people are so afraid to even run one, or do one, even if they sign up with us, and they're like, just waiting to be able to do it themselves. So this is to motivate them to say, hey, this is possible for you too. And then there's also some people that resonate with you, and they are interested in your commercial real estate world, and they're curious about, like, what is it that that you have that's unique and special, that we put together, that made a difference, that shows that you're unique compared to everyone else out there. So can you walk me through, like, what is it about the framework? What is the implementation that you went through that moved the needle for you?
Absolutely. So like whenever somebody has a problem with their car and they're not like a mechanic, you go to the dealer, you go to the auto shop, and you can't pinpoint it what it is, and by going to your group, going to the seeing everything, there was these tweaks. I mean, I had some of the different things in there, but it was the wrong messaging. It was too much information. It was disorganized. It was missing a few parts. And so like you're the specialist. You're the for lack of a better term, using my example, you're the mechanic. You could be the Porsche mechanic that gets paid thousands of dollars. I just unfortunately took my Porsche in, for brakes. That was a lot of money, and but you fixed it the right way. But it's one of those things. If I tried to figure it out, I didn't go to Porsche mechanic training. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm doing it all wrong. Where I'm putting a steering wheel where the tires are, and the tires where the steering wheel. You just kind of reorganized it, and I could tell with your audience that the number one thing that's probably holding them back, like anybody, like anything, even including myself, is usually fear. And I would just say, hey guys, done is better than perfect. You have a message to share with the world. It's one of those things that like nobody knows your story but you. Now you just got to bring it out there. And how do you do it? Through the framework that you incorporated in the 5-day challenge. And now we're working on a 3-day challenge. You could even condense it in a 1-day challenge, but you have like these ingredients that like we talked about. I don't know that side of the world, and I'm still learning. I will keep learning. And now at this point, I'm getting more obsessed, about learning, your special world, because you even shared a few other things that I definitely want to learn about. At your mastermind, that I'm like, wow, but you got to take it one step at a time. It's one of those things. As an entrepreneur, I think we're all kind of guilty of the shiny coin syndrome, where, oh, there's a shiny coin. No, I'm really staying focused to keep perfecting this challenge, because I know, I got to keep baking the cake. Once in a while it might be overcooked, undercooked, but you just can't give up. I mean, if I'm talking to the audience, your audience, don't give up. If you really feel like it's no longer about the money, it's about your movement, then that's where I would say that's the place you need to be. Because for me, it's more about the movement than the money.
Yeah, because and this is what we've encountered with a few of our clients too. They made the money, they know how to figure out the portion of their life where they have mastered their craft, and now they're looking to go and teach what it is that they know. So it becomes from money to movement, and it's something that they would do for free, something that they would do for free anyways, as you have done, and as you've helped so many of your mentees, because when we met, you already are in that teaching mode. You want to make sure that it translates, because there's a thing where when people pay, they pay attention. So in order to have more influence and more impact, you want to create a conversation and a story with your tribe that will enable them to commit at a level where they will make big, all in, full out movements to the point where they are obsessed. And that obsession will carry them along into their own results, right? So I love that you stepped into that for yourself and for your tribe. I want to ask you, in terms of how things have shifted, what shifted for you that allowed the obsession to bloom? Where you're like, now I'm obsessed. What were those shifts that happened for you, whether that's personal or professional, that you experienced as you were going through the last month of building up to the challenge, doing the challenge, and then after the challenge?
I'd say it would be a combination of a number of different things, where, like I mentioned, Susanna, she gave that real good nudge. And then when I met with you, when we actually joined, it was pretty powerful. I didn't expect to see you, and I was very moved by that. And then Juan, of course, I mean, he's such a rock star that he's helped our team tremendously on all those other moving parts. So it's a combination. It's one of those things that I can't pinpoint. It's just one thing, but I could say that, being a believer, that there are no accidents in this world. God puts people in your life at the right time, lets the right things happen to your life. He has a plan. You just gotta, faith over fear, where you just cannot be acting in fear, but more in faith, and lean into that, because again, being a believer, that's where true miracles happen. And yeah, I get super excited about that, because things are really falling into place. I mean, I had that little conversation with you at in Texas, when we were kind of one-on-one, Kim, and I haven't shared this with you because it happened last night. I
Oh,
was at the local university, and I spoke in front of, God, how many people? Few hundred people. And then we had these breakout sessions, and I just felt more elated. My spirit was even taking a new level. And when you start living into where you need to, world starts aligning. And so I would just say, lean into it. If you're in that audience and you're like, you're kind of afraid, but this is the right thing, jump into the deep water, and I would say, build the parachute on the way down. Because if you truly feel innately that this is your calling, then do it. Don't hold back. because when you start living into that greatness, like I said, the world, the universe starts aligning, and then more things start opening up. Like last night, I really didn't expect that thing to happen. And all of a sudden, all these amazing people started popping in my life, some students, some professors, and I'm like, wow. And this is something I think you remember I shared with you in Texas, that like,
Yes.
wow, impact, all about that impact. And it's happening.
Yeah. Let's go, Joe. That's amazing. I'm so I'm so happy for you. I'm so proud of you. I love your energy. You have such great energy. Oh, and you had a lot of momentum coming into Ignite, and we want to keep the momentum going. I want to ask you, how were you kind of held accountable? You mentioned Juan, right? And a lot of times people enter into a program not just for information, but transformation, which is what I love. So tell me, how were you held accountable by our team? What was a few things? I know you're already an action taker, but what were a few things that we held you accountable for, that push you to do the launch, to be able to have the conversations with your tribe?
Being a coach myself, I'm not the type that's a very militant, in your face, high emotions. That's not my
Yeah.
style. And with Juan and yourself and the team, line by line, we're checking off the list. It's very, very organized. We're not winging it. And that's how I roll as well as a coach, where like, I'm not in your face, but man, am I taking notes. If anybody hires me as a coach, I've got people that are super high net worth, multi-million dollar portfolios, some bigger balance sheets than me. But they know as a coach that, like your coaches, they follow an agenda. Let's not wing it. Let's make sure there's structure. Let's make sure every single session we're making progress. And if we haven't made progress, we're staying on point on that topic till we do. So it was that, being organized, being diligent on the outlines, having the knowledge, where your team, they know what they're doing. I don't know what I'm doing when it comes to the back end and all these different triggers and all these other softwares that are out there. They know. That's why we're hiring the expert, right? And so, yeah. And the other part I would add is like, the other accountability is like, even if one person shows up to your challenge, or two or three or whatever, that reinforces my belief that I'm doing something right. Where if
Mm.
I know that this one person, two people, dozens of people were like, wow, Joe, you see that glimmer in their eyes. They want to talk to you. They might not be able to afford me right now, but I planted a seed where, like you and me, I mean, it took me about three challenges to like finally jump in, but I
Yeah.
did it. And so like, it's not about like the one call close or anything like that. Sometimes it's they're not ready. And so I wasn't ready, at the time where I first was exposed to your community, your framework, your courses, what have you. I wasn't ready, and so I would again talk to your audience as well. Maybe you're not ready. You got to see it again. You got to see it again. It's like one of these things. Repetition is a mother of skill. You didn't start driving the first time you were in a car. You had to like, scare the living Jesus out of your parents, like my kids did. you know. but it was one of those things where you just get better and better and better. And that's the challenge. That's the community. That's learning something new.
Yeah, I bet you got scared if your kids like drove your Porsche or something like that as they are learning how to drive.
Well, I'll tell you one
You're
story.
like, this is my Porsche. Be
My
careful.
daughter, she probably would never see this, but I remember taking her on the freeway one time, and you're on the freeway, you're hitting like 60, 70, right? And we
Mhm.
go out the freeway to make that turn, and you're supposed to slow down, right? Well, she didn't slow down. And I was so scared. Where like, oh my God, I'd never been so scared in my life. Where like,
Oh my gosh. I remember first time driving, I scared the crap out of my dad as well because I had it in my mind that I would play a game where I would stop to a few inches before the next car as my game in my head. So it's like these irrational, I don't know what your daughter was thinking, but in my head, when I was first learning how to drive, I'm like, this is a video game. And then my dad's like, this is real life. Like, you don't do that. You have to have a lot of space between the next car and you. You cannot stop a few inches before and think I'm gonna be okay. You know,
oh yeah,
like,
get that turn off the freeway at 70, and it said 25, and I'm like, ah.
oh my gosh,
Yeah,
memories.
yeah.
But you're right in that this is not a sprint. This is not like this is a marathon. And some people do need to see you more than once to say yes. Case in point, yourself as well. Um, and I do have people who go and do their own launches and their own 5 day challenges before they're like, okay, I'm gonna get help. What was it for you? What did Susanna say that allowed you to finally say, okay, I want to get that support and make that decision versus let me just do another one. Let me just try it on, continue trying on my own. Because I'm an action taker, I'm going to continue doing it on my own. But what was that
I'm
difference?
glad.
Or
I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that because this is what I shared with the kids last night at the university. The kids, I'm older than them, but it was one of these things where I said to them, "Where always surround yourself with great people, right? People that believe in you. And when you do that, Susanna, Jesse, and a few others believed in me more than I believed in me sometimes. And it was that belief that really, like, she was committed. She was like, dude, let's do this. I don't care which one, pick one, Joe, and let's do this. And it was like one of those things where I felt much more connected with you and your authenticity and just the way you ran things where I was like, you know what, Kim's the one that we should go for. And I'm so glad we did because like, it just keeps feeling better and better the more I'm around you and Juan and the group and the community. And that's how I want to run my ship or my community as well, where leadership starts from the top. And I want to make sure that I do the same for my group, my community, and love on them and add value and don't sell them short and keep in integrity and all that good stuff.
yeah, yeah, it's we knew that for you, even when, and this is something that you'll probably do with your own clients, but there are not every client is built the same, right? Not every client will come in and they're all the same. So they will consume information differently. They will react to the action taking checklist differently. And my philosophy with my own team is kind of like catching you where you fall and then helping you push forward when you're like a little bit lagging or something like that. So it that's our philosophy, and the philosophy stretches to, okay, here's something that's a little bit of a gap. Let's step in and help you, and so that you feel supported throughout this way. And I believe, and this is my true belief, Joe, I believe that to ask someone to run a 5 day challenge as the very first thing that they do is the most intense online internet boot camp of their life, for especially if they are newer or starting out. It's really intense, and it's similar to probably asking you to sit in the seat of a car while your daughter is behind the wheel, because there's two lives at stake in something that is transformative for the rest of her life, right? So, but it's that support where you're with them and it's a very much a transformative vehicle. And I'm curious, out of all the vehicles out there, why a 5 day challenge or 3 day challenge? What made you pick this vehicle, and this vehicle resonates with you above other vehicles you could be driving?
Great question. So I've been in other challenges myself aside from yours, and it works. And it's one of those things where I've seen it work with you. I've seen it work with, some other guru or whatever. It works, where like, hey, you give them something to think about that they've been wanting to do, and you're speaking to the right audience, and they're gonna do it. And like you said, it was not easy. It was not easy, but you either you win or you learn. And it's one of those things where like don't give up, because there's much more to learn. I'll do it again and again and again and again, because there's a lot of different things that I know that I want to share with the world. That one of the quickest, best ways to do it is through a challenge, whether it's a 1 day, a 3 day, a 5 day. You'll see me more often, folks, on the internet. So, so I'm planning, and like I said earlier, I want to thank you, Kim, for like giving me that confidence, giving me that framework, and sharing your team and Juan and everybody and Mary. And I'm just so thrilled that it's kind of like you really helped me unlock the code, right? There's a combo lock to a padlock, and it's right, left, right, right, and the numbers sometimes aren't there, but I finally feel like it got unlocked, right? We're baking a cake, doing a padlock. I feel like I finally unlocked it with the help of you, your team, and Susanna's nudge and Jesse's nudge, and all these wonderful, amazing people around me that are, being part of the commercial real estate community and really believing in me. That keeps me motivated to keep going no matter what.
Yeah, you already take so much action. I see it as like you're such a bullet already. And and we just gotta point you in the right direction. You're already like this bullet that will go forward. We're just like, all right, here's where you shoot. You ready, aim, fire, right? Like you're like, okay, aim. We're gonna aim you this way.
Yeah, yeah. But I'm glad you said that, because sometimes the audience out there probably doesn't know this about like the bullet, or my dad was in the Navy, and on those ships like a destroyer, you're off like 1 degree or two, it gets multiplied, right? So you angle it off and you try to shoot for the target. If you're off by a degree or two, the gap gets wide and even worse. So you need an expert to really hold that gun steady Eddie, and put it on the crosshairs. Boom, you hit the target. So I know that I'm getting closer and closer to hitting more and more targets. And it's just, continuously, adapt and overcome, and, go for it again.
Yeah, and in terms of and I love that you use that analogy because my dad is a veteran, was a veteran as well, and so like I understand like what that feels like that analogy. It's like a little bit closer to my heart because my dad served, and so for you, Joe, in terms of like. Uh, One of the things I want to ask you is if someone was on the fence and kind of like considering this vehicle, this method, and not really sure if they should be supported in this, uh, what would you say to them? And also, does this apply to just commercial real estate? Does this vehicle apply to just one specific avatar? Like, who is it? Like, who would this apply to in terms of helping
I would
them
say
succeed?
I
Mhm.
would say your framework, your blueprint, your course, your challenges applies to any business. when you understand that this is applicable on anything, uh, go for it. I mean, do your research, folks. If you want to try it out, I mean, there's Starbucks down the street or Pete's Coffee. There's Burger King, there's In and Out. There's a lot of different restaurants and coffee places and what have you, but do your research and then pick, right? Pick which one you think feels right. You have proof in the pudding. Myself, look me up. I'm very credible, and I've got a lot of different things behind my name that check me out. I'm not. Kim didn't pay me to be here, So
The other way around.
I'm doing this because I dig Kim, I dig her community, and I believe in what it's given me thus far. And so, you're a consumer. So yeah, do your homework, check it out. And because there was a couple of times where it didn't feel right, where I jumped into other courses, other groups, and surely enough, I got burned. It was one of those things, it didn't feel right, but I did it anyway because I want to keep trying. And man, that gut instinct, I should have listened to it, but I didn't. And sure enough, that was like X amount of dollars. But do your due diligence, feels right, go for it. And one thing that I told my kids the other day, money is very replaceable. A couple hundred here, a few thousand here. It's part of going to college, going to university, going to a private school. What's not replaceable is time. And as long as you're on Mother Earth on this planet, you got time. Hey, you spend money on this course or somebody else's course. Okay, we learned something. Try and take something away from it to build you a better person, to build you a better online marketer or a digital marketer, and then go and get better, and then keep going and going and going. But yeah, like I said, there's different Starbucks and Pete's Coffee and Burger King and In and Out. Pick. If you're not satisfied, try again, learn more. And sometimes I got to say, like, with even my coaching clients, sometimes they want to blame the coach, and I'm like, no, sometimes you need to blame yourself, because those things that, like, the coach, the mentor, like you're really trying to give everything you got. And then sometimes it's the student that doesn't do their part. It's somebody who is overweight that goes to the gym, that goes there one time and thinks, okay, I'm going to get nice and trim. Where no, you got to keep going. Maybe you got to do cardio. Maybe you got to do weights. Maybe, so you got to keep showing up to the coaching calls, your different calls that you have throughout the week. And if you don't show up, that's your fault.
Yeah. We provide the coaching calls during the week. We provide, the one-on-one support and the setup support and everything we can. And yeah, and to your credit, Joe, you and Susanna do show up. You show up in such a big way for yourself and for your own clients. It's very admirable to see, and I'm glad that we are the client you attract, and we attract your type of client. And so, that will continue. That energy will spread onto your own clients in the future as well. You spoke about time. Time is not something that we can replace. How much time did you feel, even though maybe this is not like quantifiable as much, but how much time do you feel that you saved by saying yes to yourself and saying yes to the recipe for the cake and the framework? Now, like, what does that look like for you? How much time did you feel you saved?
At least 3 years. At least 3 years. So one of the softwares that we're using, I was already involved with it for 3 years prior. And I was with a group that kind of showed me the ins and outs, but it was difficult. And I would say by deciding and Juan and you and the team showing me the ins and outs of that, you saved me 3 years. Because if I would have just probably kept going on my own and not jumped in and went to the mastermind and the training and your weekly calls, who knows, it might have been another 3 years that I'm like bumping my head and trying to figure it out. So I could say at a minimum 3 years, you probably shaved off that much time.
Wow, that's incredible. Uh, 3 whole years. Yeah, I just never know until I ask. That's like a lot of years.
It is.
Um,
It is because if you quantify it, like somebody's probably thinking from the dollar perspective, the ROI, you're probably business minded person. Okay, well, take that number that I just gave you. Maybe you're better than me, so you do it in half the time. What are you worth per month? Okay, times it by, you know, 1.5 years. That's 18 months. How much time did you really save? How much time and money did you actually earn? So, like, you might say you're better than me, and I'll probably not I won't disagree with you. I know you're probably right. And so you take what you know out there as an audience, cut my time in half, cut my time in a quarter, and do the math. Because when you really quantify it in dollars versus time, yeah, hire an expert that knows, because the costs, in real estate, we always say this, it's when these for sale by owners try to sell their own houses and they don't use a professional like myself or try to sell their building, they leave thousands upon thousands of dollars on the table. Not only that, but the potential liability of a lawsuit. So,
mm,
realtors, I'm talking to you out there, that that as an expert in real estate, heed your own advice and pay the experts.
yeah, and not only that you say that the thousands of dollars that they're or the lawsuit, it's like part of something. I would say is kind of like the cost of them not taking action and not investing in themselves could be huge. I'm curious about the idea of failure. Like I always get asked this question: what if I fail? And I'm curious about your own thoughts about what are the ways in which you could fail if you come in and say yes to yourself and experience the program. Like, how would someone fail as they're going through this for themselves? Um, I'm curious what you would see failure as. Like, what
So,
are the ways in which you could fail?
so I would just say this is the quality of your life is determined by the quality of your questions you ask yourself.
Mm,
With that said, what if I succeed? You flip the
mm,
script. Not what if I fail, but what if it works? What if it actually works and I succeed? Right? Because it's one of those things, again, my mindset's different from a lot of people out there. Failure is
mm,
not an option. It's either I win or I learn. The only time that I'm going to fail is if I give up. If I completely give up and say, this is not for me, this isn't working, I need to pivot and do something else. Well, yeah, you know, it's one of those things too where you also want to test your product, test your offer, test your audience, and get real feedback. Because, like, if you're not listening to the audience, there's something there. And so, is it, the ad? Is it the copy? Is it, you didn't give yourself enough time to advertise and promote? So you got to start unpacking that. And with your team, you're helping us unpack all these other things that, you've done many challenges with all your other students and mentees. Like, hey, me as a coach, the same thing. I'm like, hey, I coach this person, this person, this person, this person. This does work. This one, you've tried, this person tried it, it doesn't work, don't do it. And so you're giving us all these different shortcuts from not failing. Where
mm.
if I'm going to fail, again, it's on me if you're already giving me the answers to the test.
Yeah, you have such the right mindset about what failure looks like. Um, and I think that's why you're so successful as well with your career with commercial real estate. And I love that you flip the script of like, what if you win? What if you succeed? Then you have this framework, this blueprint, and the saving 3 years off of your timeline and propelling you into the future. And it's like such a motivating thing for me to hear you say, you're going to see a lot more, the world will see a lot more of you, Joe. And getting that momentum and keeping that momentum is such a big deal that a lot of people won't like take a moment to recognize. But
Thank you.
I love that. So I usually do about a 50-minute interview. And part of this interview is also there are some people who will resonate with you and they get to hear you, they get to see your voice, they get to see that conviction. I would love to send my audience your way for those who are looking to succeed with commercial real estate. So before we go, let's tell everyone what you are about and where can they go to find you. I know you're like, Google me, but I want to like direct them into a specific place. And yeah, so where can they go to find you, Joe?
Absolutely, Kim. I appreciate that.
Hmm.
It's one of those things there. I do want to make that impact on the world. Yes, you could Google me. I'm building out a school community. If you start typing out Commercial Real Estate Investor Club, my name, Joe Mendoza, you could send an email, support@joemendozatteam.com. That is my main email. My team's checking it. I'm checking it. Support@joemendozatteam.com. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn. Just type in Coach Joe Mendoza, DM me. Me or my team will be quick, hopefully, to respond. If not, just hang tight. We'll definitely get to you. As I'm putting myself more and more out there, it's sometimes I need a little more help or time to get back to that person. I'm a real estate broker, been in real estate since I was 17 years old. I live, love, and keep learning real estate. You could check me out, tried and true. It's not one of these things where, this was happened a few months or a few years ago. As Susanna will say, we are cycle tested, where in 2008, I made millions right prior to, but I also lost millions. And so the good news was I was able to recover and do it again where I had all these gains again. So I am tried and true. I wrote a book, Flex with a Plex, on Amazon. You could find it there too. Commercial Real Estate Investor Club. DM me, Coach Joe Mendoza, Instagram. Thank you so much, Kim. I really, really appreciate you, the team, the community.
Oh, I love that. So remember, you guys, Joe Mendoza, Coach Joe Mendoza, Real Estate Investor Club. And Joe has been cycle tested. He survived and he came back. And, that says a lot. That means that his framework and what he teaches will stand the test of time. It's not something that's fly by night, just like our framework is not fly by night. It's forged from years of doing this. And so go and follow Joe. And Joe has his team with Susanna. And then last question is I like more specific things in terms of I do get questions like when's the time to first win. So just a couple of rapid fire questions or one question. What did you feel is your time to first win? However you interpret a win is, Joe, when you first entered. And, what like in terms of like what does winning look like to you? Because I love your momentum and your future with your going more live and being more on the internet with your community. What is that number for you? How many weeks, how many days um, after you entered Ignite did you feel like you got your win?
I would say the moment when we launched, we saw, hundreds of RSVPs and registrations. that to me was a win already. Where like, okay, the ads work, the framework worked, everything worked, where now we got to deliver on conversion and closing and the PowerPoints and what have you. So that it was right before we launched. We already saw the RSVPs. To me, that was the first win.
All right. And then you also had conversations where people were excited and then they said yes to you in some way where that's a deposit. How did those calls feel like to you versus like, let's say a cold conversation of someone that just saw an ad and have a conversation with you? How are those conversations to you? Uh, how did those conversations feel?
It felt very genuine, especially like really asking them these questions about what interested you and all that good stuff. Where I liked it. I mean, there you could see people always, whenever they're not going to do something, there's fear behind it, always,
Mm,
right? And whether it's fear of what if it doesn't work, right?
mhm.
So the conversations felt really good. I know I have to get better on those kind of calls because that's a playground that I haven't done a lot in. I know how to sell,
Mhm.
but it's one of those things where this type of selling is definitely different from most.
Yeah, different than selling a building.
Correct.
Uh, for sure.
That's right.
Absolutely. Well, Joe, thank you so much for showing up today. Thank you for spending this hour with me. And I know your future is so bright with the coaching industry. We love to continue supporting you and having you in the community. And we love to have, I always say you can start premium and stay premium, and this world will have people that will say yes to you in a premium way where they are all in full, completely playing full out. And I'm we're very blessed that you are that person, not only for us but for yourself, and anyone watching this will clearly see the passion and the enthusiasm that you bring to the table. So if you guys are listening to this and you are interested in commercial real estate, check out Joe Mendoza and check out his program, Coach Joe Mendoza, Real Estate Investor Club. And all right, that's it. Have a great rest of the day, you guys. Thank you so much, Joe. So, what's going to happen next is I'm going to end the live recording and then I'll see you very quickly in the green room of StreamYard. And then I'll say bye to you there versus cutting you off. All right. Thanks, everyone, for watching. We have Brendan Yamada here. Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your day. All right. And stream.